Good morning, friends. I will be right with you. Look at that. Look at that. I muted myself. Thank you, Kathleen. I muted myself. All right. All right. Let's start all over again. Happy Monday, my friends. It's going to be one of those days. Actually, it is going to be one of those kind of days. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. Jamie, good morning. Thank you so much for holding me accountable. I muted because I was mucking around behind the scenes here a little earlier and completely forgot to turn that back on. That's the problem when you've got all this sophisticated gear. There's lots of buttons and gears and bells and whistles to push. Welcome to Men Up with Mike. My name is Mike Cameron, and as always, I will be your host. I will put this back up because what I was saying while I was muted is this is such a apt comment because I very close to not coming this morning, to not showing up this morning. I've had some challenges with my tooth. If you guys have followed me last week, you know my tooth has been giving me some grief. So I woke up at about 2:00 this morning, just in pain and not having a lot of fun. So I didn't get a great sleep last night. And I truly debated not showing up. And I thought, I don't have a topic figured out. I don't have a show figured out. I didn't do it yesterday. I watched the Super Bowl. I had a bit of a lazy Sunday. So I thought, what the heck am I going to talk about? And then I thought that lack of motivation canker on my tooth. I've got Orajel that's working so far. Anyways, so I thought, well, what can we talk about that is relevant to me not wanting to show up this morning? And I thought, boom, Motivation Monday. There it is. One of the first things I want to remind you about, this may be a shorter episode because, again, I haven't prepped for this at all, but I thought we could riff a little bit on motivation. I want to hear from you guys. What is it that gets you motivated? What is it that gets you fired up? How do you stay fired up? How do you actually get things done? So let's talk a little bit about understanding motivation. There's two different kinds of motivation. There's extrinsic motivation, where we are motivated by external forces, external things. We're chasing something. So that's the carrot approach. I am motivated because I show up to work because I want a paycheck. That's extrinsic motivation. The other and more powerful is intrinsic motivation, where that's where you are motivated to do the thing just for the love of the thing itself. And intrinsic motivation is what we strive for all the time. How do we get excited about the thing just for the sake of the thing, rather than having to have some kind of external force driving us to do it? So understanding that is a big part. Kathleen says, if you haven't prepped, a great way to practice letting go of perfectionism. Yes, absolutely, Kathleen. Absolutely, it is. So, motivation. How do we get fired up on a Monday morning? How do we get excited? How do we get motivated? How do we get up and go? So, there's an important thing that I used to write down on my note to self quite often. And I actually haven't shared a lot of those notes to self. And maybe that means it's time for me to get back to doing that. And that is the fact that motivation follows action, not the other way around. When we do things, when we do the things we know we need to do, that's when motivation starts to culminate and starts to grow. So it's more about discipline than it is motivation, because if we wait for motivation to strike before we do things, guess what? 9 times out of 10, we're not going to do the things because we're not going to be motivated. Whereas if we have the discipline to do the things, the action, to take the action, motivation follows action, not the other way around. So if we do the thing, if we take the action, what we'll find is that becomes this compound effect, this snowball effect that we can build on, and we start to grow, and that motivation starts to snowball and inspire. And that's exactly what I'm feeling this morning. Like I said, when I woke up, I had absolutely zero motivation to get out of bed. My tooth is sore. I didn't have a great sleep. Blah, 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 blah. Excuse. I had all kinds of different excuses that I could have used, all valid. But instead, I took the discipline, had the discipline to get off my backside, get out of bed, hop in the shower, get ready to go, come downstairs and hop on and have a conversation with you. And guess what? Guess what happens? When I take the action, the motivation follows. And I can tell you, I'm going to be incredibly fired up for my day just because I had the courage, I had the discipline to sit down and actually execute. Kathleen says, I find motivation from the heroes and heroines in my life. Jane Goodall event on weekend reminded me that just one person can make a huge difference. Don't wait, take actions on what means something to you. So I taught myself how to make a video yesterday and posted it, mistakes and all. Nice. I did notice that, Kathleen. I will go back and have a little peek at your video. I love this. I love this. This is exactly what it's all about. And this is why I decided to show up this morning. Again, partly for you, mostly for me, to grab some motivation, to get fired up for my week, to find the things that I know I need to do and actually put those into place. Anne says, well, remember, we're all a friendly group who can empathize with your troubles. Just a thought. Yes, absolutely. Well, that is the beautiful thing about showing up here, is I know you guys are strong supporters, and even if I screw up, you've got my back, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that immensely. So again, where and how do we find motivation? How do we find that motivation from within? So Kathleen talked about that. Jane Goodall event on the weekend reminded her that just one person can make a huge difference. Take action on what means something to you. That's intrinsic motivation. Jane Goodall worked from intrinsic motivation. She didn't work for fame. She didn't work for money. She didn't work for reward. She worked for something that she cared deeply about. So how do we find something that we care deeply about, even in the mundane, even in the things that we maybe don't love to do, but we know we've got to do them? How do we fire up that intrinsic motivation? How do we find our why behind that, what we're doing? And it's about asking those right questions. So even if the thing isn't what you love to do, does it take you one step closer to getting toward the thing that you love, the thing that you want to do? Does that day job provide you the means to the end of doing what it is you love, doing what it is you are passionate about? Is there a way that you can start a side hustle while you are doing this, while you're doing your day job, while you're getting paid? Jamie says, I struggle with depression and my motivation is low lately. Got an audition request this morning and I'm now hyper-focused on success. Yes, Jamie. You know what? And that is such a huge, huge piece. When depression kicks in, it is so, so, so difficult to find any kind of motivation. But that is where the discipline kicks in. And again, I understand how difficult it can be. I really understand how difficult it can be to actually get up when you don't want to. Anne says, thanks to your scavenger hunt, I started to journal last night after not doing so since early January. So I'm grateful for the little shove. Nice, Anne. Yes, if you guys have not seen, have a peek through my timeline. I put out a personal development scavenger hunt. I would love you guys to take part in, and I would love to hear what it does for you. It's built around sort of a 7-day cycle, but the reality is you likely won't get everything done in 7 days. So I posted a video and the worksheet on that. Sean, yes, self-worth somewhat. Absolutely. Sean says discipline. Yes, self-worth somewhat. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the self-worth piece, you've got to feel worthy of doing the things that you want to do. If you don't feel worthy, you're not likely going to take action. You're not likely going to find the motivation to do the thing. If you are mired in despair and self-loathing and do not feel worthy, it makes it incredibly difficult to take action. It makes it incredibly difficult to do the thing. So yeah, absolutely. Starting with that self-worth piece, starting with that self-love piece, looking at where can I show up more fully? How do I contribute? How am I valuable? Look for the evidence that supports that, because I can guarantee you it's out there. But like I said, for me, the biggest piece of that motivation is just taking action, not waiting for the motivation to come, but taking action first. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. So if you've been waiting for motivation to strike before you take action, maybe flip that around. Flip that around. Take the action first, even if you don't feel like it. Even if you don't feel like it. Take the action and see if the motivation comes. You know, for me, again, the running training is a perfect example of that. There are many, many, many days where I don't feel like going for a run. But as soon as I get out the door, as soon as I hop on that treadmill, as soon as I get into the groove, that motivation starts to come, and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds and it grows. So taking that action, having the discipline to take that action in the first place, even when we don't feel like it, and maybe especially when we don't feel like it. One of the tools that I use is I take my top 3 things that I want to get done for the day, and I strive to get those done by 10 a.m. Because I know if I put that tight deadline on my morning, on my day, and I am very purposeful about outlining what those 3 things are, then I'm going to likely hit those by 10 a.m. And then the reality is, even if I get nothing else done for the rest of the day, I feel good about having accomplished my top 3 things. Again, that little dopamine hit that we get, those chemicals that hit our brain, they start to snowball and we build off each other, and it just becomes this catalyst for an incredible day. So there's another exercise for you. Take the top 3 things that you want to get done in a day and get them done by 10 a.m. Anne says, scavenger hunt is a great idea. Check out the PDF sheets. And as Mike says, you can take as long as you wish. You don't need to complete in a day. Oops, sorry, in a week. Yikes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I will drop a link in the comments to that. You know what? I'm going to do that right freaking now, because otherwise I will likely forget. And let's do that right now. That's the beauty of winging it, isn't it? Isn't it? Personal development scavenger hunt. There it is right there. I am going to drop that in the comments right now. There you go. There you go. It goes to Facebook. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, shoot me a note. I did post it on LinkedIn as well, so it should be there. But drop me a note. Let me know how you do. Let me know that is there. Sign up. Anne says sign up. You don't even need to sign up for this one. This one's completely free. Completely free. But speaking of signing up, we're about halfway to where we need to be from a capacity standpoint for the writing workshop. It looks like we will be starting the beginning of March. So for those of you that have signed up, I will be shooting out an email at some point today. In fact, before 10 a.m. today, because that is one of my things on my list to do today, is to send out an update to those of you that have signed up for the program. And I will make sure that you guys get an update today. So if you haven't, have a look, mikecameron.ca. On the front page of my website, there is a link to write my book. We are going to embark upon a 4-month journey, a weekly coaching program that will take you from 0 to full manuscript, assuming you do the work. Of course, this isn't magic. You still have to do the work. You have to find the motivation to do the work, but hopefully we can keep you inspired to do that. And we would love to have you. I've got Professor Linda Tucker. Who is going to be joining me and bringing her expertise. Linda is a PhD in English. She's a professor at the University of Arkansas in English, and she's also the owner of Cup and Quill Editing. She will be joining us to teach us how to write that book with exercises and all. I'm really, really pumped about this. I'm really excited. Anyways, my friend, as always, continue to make beautiful shit happen. Have yourself a motivated, fired up, extraordinary, exciting, expansive. What else? What else can we call it? Have an exceptional day. That's it. And as always, continue to make beautiful shit happen. Take care. See if I forget to mute the mic, can you hear me in the background?